What's going on, people? Welcome back to AFTV. You may have seen James's video on the channel of him breaking the news that Ben White has signed an extension on his contract, a 4-year extension plus a 1-year option to commit his future here at Arsenal. It's great news, something I've been happy to see. But you also may have seen a discourse online around Ben White not wanting to be called up for England. Now, we're going to get into that. That's going to probably be the main bulk of this video. But before we get into that, let's just discuss, the Arsenal players that have been called up for England. And yeah, let's have a little word. I've got Laurie with me here. Starting with Aaron Ramsdale. Obviously, we haven't seen him much this season in an Arsenal goalkeeper top, but he has been called up for England. We may see him feature England. I don't know. He needs the minutes. I know it would be nice for him to, represent England in these 2 friendlies that they've got coming up. One against Brazil, one against Belgium. Also, Declan Rice, well deserved. I'm sure many of us will agree with that. And Bukayo Saka, all been called up to England. Laurie, just your thoughts around that. 3 English Arsenal players being called up. Happy with that?
Yeah, great news. First of all, though, I do want to say, extend my congratulations to Ben White on the contract offer and him agreeing to sign and commit himself to Arsenal Football Club. I think he's been an outstanding signing. So I'm really happy about that. So yeah, props to Arsenal and Ben White for getting that across the line. In terms of the call-ups, the England call-ups for the Arsenal players, Ramsdale you spoke about, Saka and Rice. Yeah, I'm happy for those guys. I know you have some reservations about the players being called up at this time because it could, and listen, I don't want to jinx it, but I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It could adversely impact our title challenge if something was to go awry with any of those players, and we pray to God that it doesn't happen. But nevertheless, I'm pleased for them, man, because I am a big believer in international football. I know not everybody is. I do love my international football. And I've always been of the view that for most players anyway, and we're going to talk about Ben White, most players would deem being called up for your national team to be at the pinnacle of their career. So listen, man, shout out to the 3 guys concerned. And not just them, all the Arsenal players that are playing for their respective countries.
Of course.
I mean, you might see Trossard for Belgium.
Yeah, you might see that. You might see a few of the Brazilian Arsenal players as well for Brazil against England. I think you might see a lot of Arsenal faces in that fixture. That'll be the first friendly that'll be played as well. So that'll be interesting to see.
I don't think you'll see Martinelli though. He won't play for Brazil.
Nah, with that, I think he's going to be out for a bit. And
Jesus, Gabriel.
I'd rather Martinelli rest. And listen,
no, Martinelli won't get the call up.
No, of course not. But
he's injured.
He's injured. But like I mentioned off camera, like you said, I'm a fan of international football. I know many aren't. I do like to watch it. But for this one specifically, 2 friendlies, I know that we're going to get onto Ben White. I just feel like in the title charge, the next game is City away at the Etihad. I would rather Arsenal just say, allow this one. We've seen players in the past, I wouldn't say fake an injury. The club saying they're injured.
No, I don't think that.
Oh, I've seen that many times.
No, we've seen it, but I don't listen.
For this one, because of the title race, I'm not as happy to see Arsenal represent.
No, I see where you're coming from. There's always a risk. But listen, there's a risk in training. There's a risk going up the stairs. There's a risk, like in warm-ups and everything. So we just have to hope and pray.
I'm trying to limit that risk though.
Yeah, I hear you. We just hope and pray that everything is everything. I mean, City players and Liverpool are under the same types of risks, so it is what it is.
You're right.
But I am pleased for the 3 guys that got called up.
Definitely. But let me get into the bulk of the video, and we're going to kind of deal with fact here. So I'm going to go with the comments that was said today from Gareth Southgate in his press conference. And I don't want to do too much speculation because we don't know the reasons why, but let's just get into what was said. So Gareth Southgate on Ben White said, on form, I can't sit here and say he doesn't deserve to be in. We all had a call from Edu to say White didn't want to be considered for the squad, which for us is a real shame. He then goes on to say, I want to leave the door open for him, as I think he's a great player who can make a great difference. So
let me ask you a question quickly. In that statement there, you said that Gareth Southgate said that they got the call from Edu.
That's what jumped out at me the most.
Right, yeah. So I was going to say, that did kind of jump out at me. Would you have preferred, or does it not matter, that Ben White should be the one to make the call? Or do you think it was more appropriate, he felt, for somebody of a senior position within the club to represent him? Or is that an indication, and again, we don't want to speculate, but is that an indication of a relationship breakdown between Ben White and the manager, Gareth Southgate?
Yeah, I don't want to speculate too much. I don't... Edu ringing Southgate or ringing the England team to say he doesn't want to be called up or considered for the squad is what jumped out at me. Not for the fact that he went to a senior person at Arsenal to do it. That, if I'm honest, not really bothered, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that, or right or wrong way, sorry, to do that. It jumped out at me that
he didn't make the call himself.
No, not that. It's just like he initiated it. He said, "Can you call them first before?"
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Are you?
That's
surprised that.
I thought you'd wait to hear if you are going to be considered. Maybe they feel, it's an obvious that Gareth Southgate's going to want you. I don't know. But for the club to, before being announced, being told, look, just ring them and say, I'm not interested. I find that surprised me, I'll be honest. But I don't know if it would have been worse or better if he got announced and called up and then him saying, I'm not going. I think that will then cause an issue either way. But to me...
I'm with you. I don't want to speculate too much, but I must admit, that did jump out at me as well. But in terms of my feelings towards the whole situation, I just want to say, first and foremost, I think it's a great shame because I think Ben White is playing really well at the moment. I mean, he had an outstanding season last season, and this season, arguably, he's been better. I mean, he did go for a little period just before Christmas. Some people saying
start of the season wasn't.
He might have told, because he had a great start. Then, as what happens with a lot of players, at the end of the day, they're human beings. Their form kind of tailed off somewhat.
Had a rocky patch.
Since the break, it's picked up, and for me, he was man of the match against Brentford. He was outstanding. He's been a pivotal player this season for Arsenal, and he's an outstanding senior player now.
Well, you hear
one of the senior figures.
Mikel Arteta's words after the the 4-year extension. He says like he's a great human and he's a leader as well in the Arsenal camp as well.
No, I think that.
I can go back to, I remember listening to Rob Holden on Timsy's podcast, Big Up Timsy, saying that, Ben White he's a warrior. And you heard that if you've seen the video on the social media of Arsenal announcing he's staying for another 4 years with a 1-year option, they all call him warrior. He plays through injuries as well. That's what Rob Holden kept saying. He said, whenever he's injured, when it comes to match day, he's there, front line, and he's up for the battle. And I love that. And I know there's been, criticism of him that he didn't watch football, or he doesn't know, the legends and whatnot as much. He never used to watch football back in the day. His family don't watch football. But I can go back to 2020. I only bring this up because people say, I know there's big words saying he doesn't care about, being called up. But in 2020, he represented England, got called up for the Euros by Gareth Southgate. He was at Brighton at the time. And he said, I was speechless. This is excellent. No, sorry, this is amazing. It's an amazing feeling. So he definitely cares about England. And
yeah, of course. Listen, for most players, and I can't speak for Ben White because obviously I've never met the guy. I don't know him. I just watch him play football on TV or at the ground or whatever. But for most players, they will tell you, not all players, most players will say representing their national side is that they would consider at the pinnacle of their career.
Yeah, our Brazilian players always speak on that.
Right. Well, no, most, to be fair, not all, because obviously, not everyone's the same, but most players will tell you that. So, I'm discounting this. He doesn't care about England. I don't believe that for 1 minute. And I'm not going to speculate as to why he's made this. He's reached out to Edu to say, look, I don't wish to be considered, because it's not my place to do that. I don't know. I've not heard anything. I've seen speculation online. I'm not going to go
loads
there.
online, but
I'm not going to go there, though. I don't know anything about it. So it'd be remiss of me to come on here and start talking like I know what's happened. I don't know, you don't know. We're not talking about that. All I'm saying is an England squad with Ben White not in it at this current stage where we are right now is a shame, because he is undoubtedly one of the best right backs in the country. Definitely. So for him not to be in the squad is a shame.
And Southgate did say the door is open, so it's still open. So hopefully when it comes to the Euros, there is a place there for him. But right now, selfishly, good. Sorry, but it's the truth. I just focus on this.
Yeah, from a purely selfish Arsenal fan's point of view, you probably won't be crying too many tears.
Definitely not.
But it is a shame in a way, because, as an Arsenal fan, I actually feel a sense of pride when you get Arsenal players representing their countries and playing football at that level, because it shows just how good they are, that they're getting selected for their respective countries, not just the England guys, across the board.
And just to give people more context as well, it does happen where players don't always, want to be called up or refuse the call. I remember, I think it was Ben Foster, when Fabio Capello was the manager. I know the number 1 goalkeeper at the time was Joe Hart, but it was a bit of a goalkeeper crisis. They needed his number 2 who was of the level, and Ben Foster was that one, but he refused the call. He said he didn't want to be called up as well. And that was quite an important game as well, that he said, no, I don't want to be there with England at this time under
Which
Capello.
is his right.
Exactly, it's their right.
Most times, right, when you get a player turned down an international call-up, it tends to be when they're at the tail end of their careers. They've already represented their countries numerous times. They're coming to the tail end of their career. And what they often say is that they want to terminate their international career because they want to focus on playing domestically for as long as possible. So it may be they've had a long career, they've had injuries, and they're trying to manage their careers in the twilight, you know what I mean? So what they will say is, I turned down, I've done that, I've been there, done that international level. But now I want to extend my career for as long as possible. In order to do that, something's got to give. So I will give up my international career to focus on my domestic career. I've seen that quite a few times. Obviously, in this case for Ben White, it's something very different. But what is different, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate.
There's a few. I think even Paul Scholes for international football. I think he retired early from international football, but I do remember, for some reason, I remember when he came back and bought some boots from Sports Direct, some knockoff boots, and played a match for England. So it happens. I don't want to speculate as well, but listen, I also want to just make sure this doesn't cloud the news that he is staying at Arsenal for 4 years with a 1-year extension, and rightly deserved. I mean, that is good news around the Arsenal fan base and for him as well, and around Arsenal, that he's committed his years here at Arsenal, because I think he's a fabulous player. And like you said, may have had a rocky patch maybe at the beginning, but he also has been at the beginning of this season, but has been consistent, especially since coming back from Dubai. He's unbelievable.
He's without a doubt one of Arsenal's senior players, one of the most pivotal players in the team, without any question. Yeah,
and goes under the radar quite a bit. I think he should get more of his flowers. But
you say that, but a lot of the fans that I speak to, if you ask them to name their most popular or their most favoured Arsenal players, I think he gets in that. Certainly the fans I speak to on a regular basis, they're all big fans of Ben White. You, Turkish, Lee Judges, Robbie, James, I mean several, Gunnar Lee, sorry.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
Yeah, and rightly so. Rightly so, because he's a quality player. But that is it. Like, you probably see it all online, you know, that the news that's been going around. I'll read it for you one more time. That Southgate said, we all had a call from Edu to say that White didn't want to be considered for this squad, which for us is a real shame. He then goes on to say, I want to leave the door open for him, as I think he's a great player who can make a great difference.
Can I just ask a question? Actually, it might be a question
to leave for the viewers.
For the viewers watching, put it in the comment section. So Ben White, he's not playing in this particular international call-up, but how do you feel about that? Do you feel that, are you like Cecil here, happy that he's not going to play? Or are you more like myself? There's a little bit of, how can I say?
It's 2 friendlies.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of, I'm not sure if disappointment's the right word, but you would like to have seen him play for the national team. Let me leave it like that. You can fill in the blanks. Are you with Cecil? Don't give a toss. You just want him ready for City? Or like me, a little bit of disappointment that he's not been, or he's chosen not to be part of the England setup. And let us know how you feel.
Yeah, that's a good way to leave it. Listen, like the video if you like the video, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care, everyone. Peace.